23 of the USL Championship regular season begins in Pawtucket, Rhode Island at Centerville Bank Stadium as Rhode Island FC welcome Detroit City FC. Happy to have you with us on ESPN Plus alongside Manchester United great Gary Bailey. I'm Joe Malfa. The desperation is really the theme in this one, I think, tonight, Gary, because if you look at these two sides, you've got Detroit City sitting just 2 points above the playoff line. You've got Rhode Island 2 points below that, but only still 1 point above last place if you take it a step further. It's anybody's guess right now how things end up in the Eastern Conference, but for Rhode Island, this is around the time last year that they caught fire and made their run.
Fantastic run as well. 6 wins, 6 draws, and just 3 losses. That's with 15 games to go. They've only got 12 now, so time is running out. They have to start winning, and they have to win on their home ground. That is vital.
And this is the time of year you look for acquisitions around USL Championship to see what player might provide some sort of spark. Well, they just did that this week, Rhode Island. They go out and they get Matthew Corcoran on loan from Nashville SC. He just scored this past week in a friendly for Nashville against Aston Villa.
Yeah, just 19 years old, but hopefully he brings a freshness and a creativity coming from the MLS. Can he do something different? Can he drive this Rhode Island team forward and see if they can start scoring goals at home?
I'll be talking about him plenty throughout the evening, and it's an important time that they acquire him. 4 of the next 5 games for Rhode Island are currently against teams above the playoff line. The only exception is a Hartford team that's sitting only 1 point below them in the live table. So there's a lot to digest in this upcoming schedule for Rhode Island. The key point to take away, they control their own destiny right now because of the teams laid out in front of them. On the other side, it hasn't really been much prettier for Detroit City. Only 2 wins since mid-April.
Yeah, conceding a lot of goals. Goals they don't normally concede. They're a fantastic defensive unit. They're normally so tight, and in fact one of those wins was against Rhode Island, and since that win there's only 1 win in the last 10 league matches. It's been a terrible run for a team who's normally a lot more dogged than this. They've got to turn it around somehow, do Detroit City.
And they did such a good job early season of stacking those wins and stacking those points that all told, even with just the 2 wins in this last stretch, still above that playoff line, but now turning to new faces. Ates Diouf has stepped up as of late.
3 goals in the last 6, and this is a player I'm excited about. He's direct, he's quick, he runs at defenses, things open up, maybe a little bit of extra space for Darren Smith to operate as well. So if anyone can turn around Detroit City's season and get them back into that top 4 or 5, this man can do it.
It's that time of the year where every game feels like it means that much more now with the end in sight into the second half of the season. Some revenge on the mind for Rhode Island, falling 2-0 at Detroit in April. We'll see what happens here in round 2. It's Rhode Island and Detroit coming your way on ESPN+.
Progress. It's what we strive for, what we sacrifice for. It's about putting in the work. Early mornings, late nights, all in the pursuit of something greater. It's what moves us forward, what unites us. Because progress is more than a goal. It's the journey, the people who stand beside us, and the right partner. Centerville Bank, the official bank of Rhode Island FC. Progress on purpose.
You may think the nicest moments happen once you've arrived at your destination. At Breeze, we think they happen all along the way.
Yeah, let me grab that for you.
That was so nice.
Whether you're kicking back in Breeze Ascent or just enjoying time together in family seating, we take creating nice moments seriously, so you're ready for the rest of the journey ahead. When it's all over, the nicest moment might just be planning your next trip. Breeze. Seriously nice.
At Ortho Rhode Island, we've built the future of orthopedic care around an important foundation, you. Our experienced surgeons and specialists offer the full spectrum of orthopedic care with leading-edge treatments and technology and a one-of-a-kind patient experience. From diagnosis to outpatient surgery, physical and occupational therapy, acute injury care, and advanced imaging, we make you the cornerstone of innovative care. To learn more or schedule an appointment, visit orthopedicsri.com.
It doesn't matter what you ride to work as long as you leave your car behind. Drive less, bike more. With the Drive Less RI app, every green trip counts. Whether you're pedaling to the office or cruising to class, log your bike trips and start earning rewards. Be a climate champion. Bike more, drive less. Download the Drive Less RI app today, because every mile matters. Visit drivelessri.com to get started.
Been a while since these teams met back in mid-April. A lot has changed since then. Back then, Darren Smith was scoring goals at will. He's hit quite a drought, still with 7 goals though this season. They'd love nothing more than getting him back on track tonight. Detroit City on the road, and if you're Rhode Island, you're hoping to get your pound of flesh now that you're at home as we meet the starting lineups. Brought to you by Ballybet Casino. Here's the group for Connor Smith and Rhode Island.
4 changes from the team that lost 2-0 at Pittsburgh only a few days back. Koke Vegas is in goals. Jackson Lee drops to the bench. Also starting Aldes Sanchez, Clay Holstead, and new signing Matthew Corcoran out. Go Noah Fuson. Maxi Rodriguez, there's a surprise, coming up against Detroit City's old team. And of course, JJ Williams sent off last match. He is suspended. On the other side for Danny Dicchio's group, it's a lot of the same faces, but another newcomer in their own right, as they've had a couple of weeks off in the midfield with Kobe Hernandez-Foster. Yeah, he's one of 2 changes from the team that beat Westchester 3-0. That was about 10 days ago. Abdou Diop starts in midfield. Oko Ryan Williams and Jasil Cedeno. Of course, all eyes on Hernandez-Foster to see what he can do in terms of setting up Smith up front. Referee in charge tonight is Corbin May. Detroit City going from left to right in their white and green. Rhode Island from right to left in their blue energy kits. 2 teams that are longing for better form. It's been a rough patch for both. Neither has won a regular season game since mid-June, and we are underway here at Centerville Bank Stadium. Happy to have you along for the ride with Gary Bailey. I'm Joe Malfa. Take a look at tonight's keys for Rhode Island FC's success against Detroit City FC, presented by Ford. For Rhode Island, Conor Smith saying we need to be clinical. They had the same XG against Pittsburgh, but lost 2-0, couldn't score. So scoring in front of goal is vital for Conor Smith. For Detroit, got to get Atus Diop into space. With his pace, the fact that he's direct, he can give that Rhode Island defense all sorts of problems. Tonight's first half is presented by First Class Marble and Granite. Take a look at tonight's health report presented by the official orthopedic partner and team physicians of Rhode Island FC. Learn more at orthopedicsri.com. Stoneman, JJ Williams, Frank Nadarce, all unavailable tonight for Rhode Island. You were saying up front how important this match is for both sides. Both going through a terrible run. For Rhode Island, 3 draws and 2 losses in the last 5. Although having said that, if they do win, they will be in a playoff spot. So all's not lost. And for Detroit, 1 win in the last 10 in the league, and yet still 2 points above the playoff cut line. So as bad as things have been for both sides, they're just a win away from things looking a lot better. So vital match here today for both teams. Especially with how tight things are right to get that win tonight, and they're above the playoff line. Well, all else is sort of forgotten. It's a new life, new season. You're above the playoff line, and now you got to stay there. And I guess both coaches would say it's all about what you do from here, because they're in a situation where it will take, of the last 12 games, say 4 wins, 3 draws, something along those lines, and they would be in a playoff spot. But if you don't get those points, then you're going to be out. And around them, and you mentioned it, they're just 1 point above relegation, Rhode Island. So as much as they're looking up, they've got to be very careful with Hartford and Tampa Bay right behind them. Going around to Amu Mensah. Much larger confines here in terms of the dimensions versus when these teams met at Keyword Stadium in Hamtramck, Michigan back in April. A lot more expansive. Stylistically, you anticipate that favors Rhode Island. It will take a little while, but they haven't got too much time to play with, including this match. 5 of the next 6 are at home, so they've got to find their feet here at Centerville Bank Stadium very quickly. Testiouf looking to switch for Reese Williams. Those 2 on opposite sides for now versus what we expected coming out of the gates, but could be a lot of fluidity in that midfield for Detroit City. Still down, holding his back. I just think he began to slip beforehand. It was more of him slipping into the defender. I'd like to see it again to be 100% sure. a little welcome. Welcome to our home ground, says Rhode Island. See, he's already slipping. He falls back into the big number 4 there, Hugo Bacharach. And so I think that's why the referee didn't even consider giving a free kick.
Replay brought to you by AAA. Rhode Island FC would like to recognize our anchor partners, Breeze Airways, Capelli Sport, Centerville Bank, and Ortho Rhode Island for their support on and off the field.
The two players discussing what's happening. The Spaniard, Hugo Bacharach, is explaining, well, you fell back onto my knees, not the other way around.
Rhode Island is proud to welcome MyRI TV as a broadcast partner in 2025. Rhode Island FC fans can now watch live action regionally on Nessun, locally on MyRI, and stream on ESPN Plus. Don't miss any of the action the rest of the season. Danny Dicchio still showcasing the touch on the sideline. Once a striker, always a striker, and it's that mentality that wants his team to build on what things were the last time out. Last game in July was in the Jägermeister Cup, a 3-0 win over Westchester. Helped get the offensive juices flowing. Chris Williams battling Clay Holstead. Chapman working it through. Diouf played along. Drive from Shane Wheat, stepping up off the back line. Early on, connecting in the attacking half of Detroit City. Well-rested group. Haven't played since that match on the 26th of July in Jägermeister Cup.
That's about 10 days rest versus Rhode Island's 4 days rest. Mind you, Shane Wheat still getting the ball over the crossbar. No goals this season. Yeah, coming from a centre-back, it's understandable. Got to try and keep that shot down.
You mentioned those 10 days off in Detroit City. Even before then, they had an extra day off in the week prior after playing Friday, July 18th against Pittsburgh. So since July 18th, from then to now, they've played just one match. That ample rest to sort of figure out some of the issues that have been befalling them. And in conversation with Danny Dicchio, most things still feel positive in his eyes. Just a matter of starting to fine-tune some things in the attack, whether that's finding somebody to replace Ben Morris, who was lost for the season with a knee injury, getting Darren Smith back on track, which in some ways he feels boils down to him just being more unpredictable. In ways feels maybe the league caught up to him, watched the film, started to understand what he brought to the table as a striker in his first year in this league. Wants to see him break some of his tendencies and recapture some of that form. A lot of little things that add up to some big things that have really led to this downturn for Detroit City.
I've got to add something else as well, that they have parted ways with sporting director Trevor James, and that's been a change which I'm sure has impacted on players and everyone alike. Very, very successful. A former coach of Detroit and done so much with a very limited budget, but another one of those bumps in the road for Detroit City this season.
It's nice to see some of the tributes and honorifics for Trevor James after he departed the club, from fans, from players alike. Danny Dicchio thanked him for giving him his start, giving him that trust to take on his first head coaching job. Trevor James guided this team to the playoffs as a head coach, as you mentioned, and as a sporting director. So helped them in more ways than one in their first few years in USL Championship. Doesn't feel like it'll be long before he lands somewhere else around USL Championship. Zaki coming up for the throw. Pops up and hits Darren Smith in the hand. Taken away carelessly by Detroit City. The New England laborers are training the workforce of today that will build our tomorrow with state-of-the-art training facilities across Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. You'll be equipped with classroom and job site knowledge to start a rewarding career in the construction industry. Build your future with the union that built the stadium at Tidewater, home to your Rhode Island FC. Mabika, part of this back line for Rhode Island. Starting to settle on the familiar faces now on that back line to some degree. Kano Smith, Hugo Bacharach now back from injury. Ame Mabika has asserted himself after signing in May, and Karifa Yao, the holdover from last year. Yamazaki. There's one thing about Rhode Island, they don't concede much. They don't score much, and they don't concede much. They're tough to play through on that back end.
Fourth best defense, only 20 conceded, 18 to your point. The problem is, it's the lowest scoring team in the East, just 14 goals from 18 matches. And to think they made the finals last year, finished, what was it, third in the East? Was it a little bit below the fifth? Sorry,
in the East, and then went on the run.
So, I mean, from that to where they are now, what a change.
Dangerous pull through, shout for a handball, still loose now, and the shot pulled wide by Haruki Yamazaki. Good early flurry here from Detroit City. They do appear to be the more well-rested side, as we alluded to earlier. Seem like a team who've had 10 days off to gather themselves.
Nice and positive on the front foot, looking for opportunities. Yamazaki touches it. He's got a lot of blue shirts in front of him, so maybe he tries to just pick that far corner and overcooks it. It goes fairly wide. I do get the sense that they've decided to take it to Rhode Island and not just sit back and try and counter.
Back to a moment ago, you were alluding to the offensive woes of Rhode Island. Is there anything you've been able to put your finger on as to why that might be the case this year? Because it's hard to fathom given the talent they have. Albert Dikwa's been a Golden Boot winner and an MVP. J.J. Williams has been a double-digit every year goal scorer. You go on and on, the different bodies in this attack. Noah Fuson, Maxi Rodriguez, formerly of Detroit City. It just doesn't compute that they haven't been able to figure it out offensively this year.
I don't know the answer, and if I did, I'm sure Connor Smith would pay me a fortune to tell him, because he doesn't know the answers. We see him kick that ball up in the air. Because as you say, the talent is all there. He did mention that it's a mindset of the entire group. He doesn't expect any one player, such as Albert Dikwa, to solve the problem. He believes that everyone's got to come to the party. What I was surprised about, you mentioned to me, the highest scorer in Rhode Island only has 2 goals. Right? You know, you're not going to get far in this league with just 2. At least on the other side, Darren Smith's got 7. And Diouf has scored 3 in the last 6 matches, although that one of those was in the Jaeger Cup. But Darren Smith scoring 7 is why they shot up the table early on in the season. That's what you need up front, and that's what Albert Dikwa was 2 seasons ago when he won the Golden Boot. So, yeah, the answer is I haven't a clue. Maybe it'll all turn around. Maybe it's just the sort of hangover from the success of last season. Maybe it's Koke Vegas coming back into goals and having their captain with them and having someone that they really believe in. Not that Jackson Lee's not a good goalkeeper, but Koke Vegas has all the experience behind him.
I haven't a clue has become a regular phrase for you with your Manchester United allegiances as well.
Oh, nasty. Nasty. But true.
Playing out of the back, Rhode Island through Koke Vegas. That's something they get back into the 11 with Koke Vegas versus Jackson Lee. Just a comfort with his feet. His first start since May 24th. In the back end, the captain for Rhode Island. Now they break out on that right flank. Played over the top, looking for Dikwa in the hands of Carlos Saldana.
Good goalkeeping from Saldana. Comes and just plucks it out the air and makes sure it's nice and clean, and can get his team on the front foot straight away, although they seem to have now lost the possession. But Carlos Saldana really settled into that #1 spot. Steinwasser, such a good goalkeeper for so long for Detroit, deciding to move on to, I assume, his accountancy practice.
And this coming Saturday for Detroit City's home game, will actually be honoring Nate Steinwasser on the field.
So they should. Been a great servant for the club. And delighted to see that there's a footballer who has a career to go on to afterwards, because I'm not sure you earn enough at USL level to retire for a long time.
Mensa cuts this off. All of a sudden, Rhode Island starting to grow into this game. Fial goes all the way back to Koke Vegas, the first ever signing for Rhode Island in their club history. Wears the captain's armband and has been in and out of the starting 11. There's been times where Jackson Lee has really asserted himself. Last year at times it was because of an injury to Koke Vegas, and then Jackson Lee started to find form. This year was a matter of just trying to find the right balance in the lineup, what was working, what wasn't. The team wasn't conceding, so it's hard to remove a keeper like Jackson Lee, who had been performing so well. This is what Koke Vegas brings. It's not really tethered to the 18. No venture. Looking through for Holstead, getting further up the field. Brought back for a free kick for Rhode Island. A lot of that dirty work in this midfield now. You can see it's already falling to Matt Corcoran. We'll put this free kick back into play. Corcoran highlighted him top of the broadcast. On loan from Nashville SC of MLS. Just this past week they had a friendly against Aston Villa. He scored. He subbed on at halftime, scored in the 75th minute. A player that Cano Smith is familiar with from their time together in Birmingham. And Cano Smith was the assistant coach before taking this head coaching job.
I'm sure Connor said to him, I want you to dominate that midfield. You know, you're not a kid anymore like you were at Birmingham. You're now a senior pro coming from Nashville. I want you to show them what you've got. And as the Detroit City player, as the Rhode Island players get to know him and feel comfortable with him, that they'll give him the ball more often. Because you would think, coming from Nashville, that he would have the ability to really impact this game.
2024, he was limited to just 5 appearances because of 5 months on the shelf due to injury. Look out here. Pressure gets to Carlos Saldana. Able to recover defensively from what could have been calamitous on the pressure from Jojea Quizera.
Goalkeepers and the risks they take these days give any manager an extra set of grey hairs. I'm all for goalkeepers playing out from the back, but the moment it looks like you're in trouble, just boot it down the pitch. Let's have a look at it again. Oh, hesitating. He's so lucky that didn't end up being a toe poke in the back of the net.
AAA replay showed just how close it was. Back to Corcoran. He's played sparingly this year for Nashville, in and out of the group, but last year injury limited him to 5 games. It was that 2023 season that was the big breakout for him. Back at the age of 17, 30 appearances, 21 starts, a goal and 3 assists for Birmingham. In a playoff season with Cano Smith as the assistant coach, it's that form I think Cano Smith is hoping he recaptures now in his return to USL Championship on a loan. Here he is, Corcoran. Ibarra. Aldair Sanchez. Something you and I were sort of debating coming into the night. Would Rhode Island be in a back 3, or would it look more like a back 4? And I don't know that we have the answer to that yet, because it seems like Aldair Sanchez and Jojea Quizera have been all over the map. At the moment, it looks like Clay Holstead is actually operating as the right back in this back line. There's been a few different looks in just 17.5 minutes.
I think you're right there. It is difficult to tell, and maybe that's a sign of a good team that can move players around as and when needed. For me, Clay Holstead has to get up into attacking midfield positioning. Such a good player on the fringes of the box that I think he would be a little bit wasted at right back or right wing back.
Here is Quizera, operating on the same side at the moment as Aldair Sanchez. We expected them to be opposite wing backs of each other. Both operating right now down this left wing. Centerville Bank Stadium and the stadium's reserved parking lots. For a full list of stops, visit ripta.com/RIFC. Free kick on the way for Detroit City. Shots in this one for Detroit City. Nothing for Rhode Island. Nearly 20 minutes in to a game that, candidly, you and I coming in were wondering when and how a goal would be scored. Just stylistically, these two teams have been tight. They lean toward that style of play where the goals haven't been easy to come by, but they're both difficult to play through. On top of all that, they're both desperate the way things are right now in the standings. So when you mix all that together, you're not quite sure what you're going to get on a given evening. But so far, the tightness of this 1 through 20, sort of what we expected. Curled in from Hernandez Foster. Good service there. And it's out for a corner.
I think that was Mapika with the header clear. It was, and that's a very important one because there was a Detroit player right behind him, and the chances are from 6 yards out he would have headed it into the net. Have a look here as the ball comes in. Mapika, yeah, you can see a diving header just behind him. That came from Bryant. He must have thought he was in with a chance of scoring.
Good service from Kobe Hernandez-Foster, making his debut for Detroit City. Here we are focused on Matthew Corcoran's debut for Rhode Island, just coming in officially on loan a day ago, but Hernandez-Foster also debuting. He arrived during the week off that Detroit City had. Short from the corner, back out where it started, floated toward the back post. Koke Vega snatches it. Almost impeded as he went for the punt.
I think the crowd are shouting for that free kick, and it's hard to say whether he was impeded or not. There was a body near him, but did that body actually stop Koke Vegas from distributing the ball? I don't think so, but it was borderline.
Shane Wheat. Turn Artest Youth. Job and Hernandez-Foster. Last year, Kobe Hernandez-Foster set one of the high water marks for chances created in a season for Birmingham Legion. The second most chances created in a season in club history, with 62 chances created. Dangerous player for that team last year. His role has shifted a bit this year as they've cycled through different coaches. Free kick on the way for Detroit City in a good area too. Stern warning from our referee.
Wow.
To Hugo Bacharach.
Wasn't leaving anything misunderstood there, Corbin May, was he? Lots of gesticulating, and maybe that's good refereeing, explaining to the player 100%. Yeah, he's pulling the shorts there. You can see it very clearly. Have a watch here. Look at that. He nearly pulls his shorts right off Jay Chapman there. And the referee points at him, warns him.
Imagine to go at goal from here.
It's a long way out to beat Koke Vegas. Would have to be some strike. And the chances are more likely it'll be a chipped ball into the box and give Diop and Bryant and one or two others something to fight for.
Tez Diouf, though, with what we've seen from him and the way that his teammates and his coaches have talked about him, the quote from Eddie Dicchio is he's one of those players that makes you sit up in your chair when he's about to do something. Well, he's about to do something perhaps here. So sit up in your chair because he looks poised to strike this one. Tez Diouf going for goal, and he didn't miss it by much.
Wow, that really was a good effort. Koke Vegas, I think, would have had it covered. So I say to beat Koke from out there would have to be some strike. And if it had gone in the top corner, goalkeeper was very close to getting it, but what a fantastic hit. Wow, top class.
Tez Diouf has only really started to come on lately as a starter for Detroit City. This is his 12th appearance, only his 3rd start. He has 2 goals. It's because of the injury to Ben Morris, they've turned more to him. A player who spent the last 2 years in USL League One with Lexington before they ascended to the championship themselves this year. We did see some of Tez Diouf sparingly in the championship back in 2022 with San Antonio. Before that, a little bit with Austin, but not much, very minimal role. Wheat, Diouf, gets it along to Williams. Reese Williams looking for Darren Smith, a name we haven't called yet, out for a throw.
Good position Reese Williams is in. It's a fantastic ball there from Artest Diouf. He had time on his hands. He's got to get that ball past the defenders and give Darren Smith something to try and get on the end of, and it gets cut out. Good opportunity lost for Detroit City.
If you're looking for help on how to pay for college, look no further than RISLA. They have been helping students and families for decades. Visit RISLA today at risla.com. Corcoran feeds it through.
It's a pretty even game, probably slightly in Detroit's favor so far, which is a problem for Rhode Island. We mentioned their home form and how it has to turn around with 5 out of the next 6, or 5 out of 6, including this one, at home, because their home record, a little bit of pressure coming on there. The home record is 1 win from 9 games at home. 4 draws, 1 win. That's not enough for, you know, for home form is normally where you get your points from. And they're not as much on the front foot as I thought they would be. Maybe they're just biding their time, but for me, the home team is the one that has to stamp authority, get their own crowd excited. Haven't done enough of that as yet, have Rhode Island.
Elsewhere, we're about to see kickoff with Hartford hosting Miami. That's a big one. Those two teams are right there in the thick of things around the playoff line. Could be a case where a win for Hartford and Rhode Island could be looking at themselves bottom of the Eastern Conference. On the flip side of that, a win for Rhode Island and a tie in that game, and Rhode Island ends the night above the playoff line. That's the nature of the Eastern Conference at the moment. Find yourself in the cellar, you can find yourself in the playoffs. And yet, it's not even quite as tight as the West right now, where the West, you can be in last place or you could be in a position for a home playoff game at the snap of someone's fingers.
It's absolutely brilliant, the USL this season. There's been years gone by when there was always 2 or 3 average to poor teams in each of the East and the West. To me, there's not a single bad team. And when you think the Tampa Bay Rowdies are sitting below Rhode Island in second bottom spot, and what a fantastic outfit they are, then it just shows you how close and how tight both the East and West are.
I think part of it, the way things are now, 12 teams in each conference, top 8 in each making the postseason. Promotion relegation on the horizon, starting to light a fire for some teams that they're no longer content with mediocrity and just getting by. As a result, we've seen more midseason coaching changes this year than in years past, and that has helped teams ascend and give them a bounce. Oakland were bottom at one point. Tampa Bay were bottom at one point. Birmingham were bottom at one point. All those teams have made coaching changes. Vegas now dealing with it, just made a coaching change. All these teams that at some point had been bottom made a change, and it sparked a turnaround. Whereas in years past, some teams might have been content to just go with it.
That's a good point you make. Interesting, though, that the teams that played out the final last year, Colorado Springs and Rhode Island, neither are in a playoff position at this moment. So, again, it just shows you the quality of teams in the USL. And in fact, I would challenge people listening or watching to find other leagues that are as competitive. Because certainly the Premier League isn't, for example. La Liga in Spain isn't. Serie A in Italy isn't. Bundesliga. You know, there's a handful of teams that are always near the top, and the rest are playing catch-up. In the USL, both East and West, you could still have a team who's not in a playoff spot now finish in the top 3 or 4.
Shapiro Thompson brought down awkwardly from behind. Haruki Yamazaki shown a yellow. First card of the evening.
Let's have a look at it again, and possession lost there by Diop. And you always have to be careful from behind. He does win the ball, but he catches the player in the process, and these days that's considered a dangerous foul, especially when you go to ground. We saw J.J. Williams sent off in the last match. Well, that was for Rhode Island more than Detroit, but we've seen sendings off in recent matches, and players just have to be careful.
Ibarra, Jaya Quizera standing over it. Like most coaches nowadays prefer the in-swinger, which would be Ibarra. There it is. Puts it into a dangerous spot. That's exactly where you want it. Right at the edge of the 6. Just need a glance toward goal, but nobody in a blue jersey able to get a piece of it. Dangerous ball back for Coque Vegas. Tell you what, though, any goalkeeper in the league that's going to get to that and make a play on it is probably Coque Vegas with his unorthodox style. Yamazaki wins it back. Diouf. Williams. And Abdoulaye Diop. And as Foster closed down by Quizera. Here's Dikwap. Haven't really said the name of either number 9 yet. Darren Smith for Detroit City or Albert Dikwap for Rhode Island, either side has been able to get the ball into their strikers, and I think you could just apply that to the last month and a half for both of these teams. It's been the root of their issues.
I agree with you 100%. And that's the problem for those sort of players. Albert Dikwa, he needs service. He can't be coming back to get the ball. He needs wide players to put the ball into the box for him so he can make his runs in there. And the same applies to Darren Smith. We see that late tackle coming in. Now, no yellow card there, and yet a yellow card for Yamazaki. Yes, he was tackling from behind, but both of them sort of endangering the safety of the opposite player. So maybe a little bit lucky to get away with that one there. We're Detroit City.
Mighty Squirrel is thrilled to support Rhode Island FC. Visit taproom and brewery locations in Waltham, Boston, right next to Fenway Park, and coming soon to Arsenal Yards in Watertown. Let's raise a glass of Cloud Cat and cheers to our soccer team and many mighty moments ahead. Okay, Vegas back again. Always felt last year like Rhode Island were at their best when they would go, be vertical, and were less patient, which I think has been more of a trademark of them this year. You almost wonder if that is it by design, or is it just because there isn't as much confidence in the attack, in the verticality as there was last year? Maybe it's a little bit of both at this point, but we're long enough into the season now where it's no longer a blip on the radar and it has become the norm.
Yeah, there were two players who stood out for me last season in terms of getting forward. It was Fuson on the one side and Quazera on the other. Fuson played last match against Pittsburgh, is not playing, not starting, he's on the bench today. Those players haven't been, as you say, as vertical, as dangerous for me as they were last year. A lot of the play came from them, and then Clay Holstead, for example, was an attacking midfield position. We haven't seen him push forward enough for me, so maybe it'll change in the next few minutes, but so far it hasn't been the Rhode Island that I think the fans were hoping to see. Now maybe they'll get a bit more adventurous.
Through it all, there's never really been any sort of figuring out of how to play J.J. Williams and Albert Dikwa together at the same time. And those are two players that you want out there together if you can, especially given their track records respectively in this league. Look, sometimes strikers stylistically don't mesh, and maybe that turned out to be the case now with as much of a sample size as we have, but it's always been a head scratcher, I think, to those on the outside of not ever finding a way to get them on the same field at the same time, unless it's late in the game and you're just throwing bodies forward, of course.
Now, they had 70 odd minutes together at Pittsburgh before J.J. Williams threw an elbow unnecessarily, got himself sent off, and they didn't look dangerous or that dangerous. So again, it's a problem for Connor Smith as he tries to figure out the combinations that might work. And that clock is ticking. These games are getting fewer and fewer. And as you showed early on with that slide, they've got some very difficult matches coming up against teams in the sort of top half of the table.
Hugo Baccarat getting into an advanced position here. Free kick, though, awarded to Detroit City. RIFC fans, grab yourself an ice-cold Pepsi Zero Sugar for the match. Zero never tasted so good. Try it to believe it. Pepsi Zero Sugar, proud sponsor of Rhode Island Football Club.
A bit of a lecture there for Clay Holstead. I think that's because Rhys Williams was doing some great tricks there. A little nutmeg thrown in the middle of all those skills. And ultimately wins the free kick.
June 14th, Rhode Island's last regular season win. June 21st, Detroit City's last regular season win. Difference is Detroit City stacked a lot of points early in the season.
That's risky. Don't kick the ball away when the referee's there. You don't have a right to do that. Mark Ibarra, extremely lucky, not in the book. You can appeal to the referee and say it should be a few yards further back, but you can't go kicking it away. And,
I think that's what Corbin May is just sort of indicating here. You can see him pointing at himself. He's like, yeah, that's my job. That's my job. I tell them where the kick is.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Corbin May let him get off with that one, because generally the referee will just book you straight out.
I appreciate it, though. because those are, I mean, look, it's a matter of keeping your cool and your composure, but it feels like those are often the yellows that end up negatively impacting the game that you regret later, where it's the 70th minute and now Corbin May has to think about giving a second yellow or not, but it is the player's own fault if they put themselves in that position. I appreciate the refereeing there to just let it go. Stern talking to Hernandez Foster, please slips it through. Darren Smith goes for goal and saved by Vegas. Looking to see if the flag would have come up. That back line of Rhode Island surprised it didn't. Vegas makes a vital stop, and Darren Smith still can't find a way on the score sheet.
That is a crucial save from Koke Vegas. And there was no whistle afterwards, so the assumption is he was onside, Darren Smith, and that just sums up his season after scoring so many goals early on. I think he got 6 in 4 games at one stage in the season. He now hasn't scored in the last 8 games, and that was his moment. Through one-on-one with the keeper. To be fair, though, it was a good save. It wasn't like he missed target. He put it in the corner. The goalkeeper comes up with an unbelievable save.
There's your look at what Kobe Hernandez Foster can do in the delivery, though, for Detroit City in his debut with the club. Coming over technically from Vegas. He went from Birmingham to Vegas to Detroit, but never appeared for Vegas. I'll look back at that last opportunity.
It's a lovely ball from Hernandez Foster. He did look as if he was a good yard or two offside, but and he puts it, you can see him aiming towards the corner. Maybe he telegraphed it a bit to the goalkeeper because he was falling and there was only one sort of direction you thought he could shoot in, but nonetheless, what a chance. And even if been blown up, if he'd have scored it, it would have given him some confidence.
On the opposite side for Koke Vegas, to make a save like that in the early going here in your first start since late May, it's going to give the keeper a world of confidence. While the striker could have used it too, I'm sure that feels good for the keeper.
Absolutely does, although you expect that from Koke Vegas. At 29 years of age and the peak of his game, and I think he can make a big difference to Rhode Island as they hit this final stretch of the season.
38th minute though. Rhode Island still don't have a shot officially at this end of the field. Can they make the save count at the other end with the finish here on the set piece? The header over the bar. It'll be a corner, last off of Mensa in the mix there.
It did seem like a Rhode Island player actually headed the ball. Nice ball whipped in from Ibarra. And it's Yao who gets up and seems to make contact.
Chick-fil-A corner kick here for Rhode Island. Hurled in, and it away before Saldana could get there. Bruce Williams working to get it clear, but Holstead takes it away. Body still forward from the corner. Settled, blocked. There's the area there. Hernandez Foster. Slip through. Quizera goes for goal. Quizera. Not a bad effort. Had Saldana concerned.
And that wasn't far off, and it was well struck. It was absolutely flying. Again, just couldn't quite keep it down. We've seen a few shots in this match that have cleared the crossbar. But it's moving such that Carlos Saldana has to get across, has to make sure it doesn't dip at the last moment. And he seems to have covered that top corner area reasonably well, the Detroit City keeper.
Proudly outfitting the Rhode Island FC, Capelli Sport is your global game changer for premium kits, gear, and innovation on and off the field. Mensa, one of the goal scorers for Detroit City in that Jägermeister Cup game a week and a half ago. There's a great ball in behind here for Darren Smith. In on goal, Smith squares it through, cleared away by Mabika. Diouf was lurking, but a step too slow. Now a corner for the visitors.
That's a great first touch from Darren Smith that comes over his shoulder and he just knocks it into space ahead of him and then still manages to get the ball across. Have a look at his first touch here as it goes over. That touch there with his knee, perfect. And then unselfish, he just cuts it back and maybe was hoping that Atez Diouf would have made a near post run. Eventually cleared there by Ame Mbika.
Diouf swings in the corner. Wheat never rose for it. Seemed like he didn't get a good read on it. 5 minutes to play here in this first half. Wheat holding it up. Down in the corner. Just plays it. Where all the bodies were remaining. For a Detroit City throw. Job wins that joust. Job connecting when they get into that last area there, Detroit City. There's no job too big with Norfolk Power Equipment, New England's premier Kubota dealer. Norfolk Power Equipment is a proud sponsor of Rhode Island Football Club. Come on down today and get the job done with Norfolk Power. Hernandez Foster.
Detroit's got a problem here because Rhode Island have dropped everybody into that final third, into that low block. A lot of dark blue shirts everywhere, difficult to play through them.
Momentum dribbling through them at the moment. That's a center back being fearless in the moment. And it's last off of him, out for a goal kick.
That's some great skills from a centre back. Did really well there to break through, and a good tackle that doesn't go Mensah's way, but he's got two bodies there. He sort of cuts between them here. Just when you think he's about to pass the ball back and cause some problems, Bacharach just comes in and does some defending.
Five shots for Detroit City, one on target. That great save from Koke Vegas. Just a one shot for Rhode Island officially. One from distance moments ago by Jojea Quizera. The expected goal tally for Rhode Island at the moment is .03. For Rhode Island, it's .45. Some chances created by the visitors in this one. Just getting to better areas right now, Detroit City. 22 final third entries to just 10 for Rhode Island. Quizera. Make it 11 final third entries. Ball played in. Not much on it on the shot from Ibarra, who is off balance.
The referee just saying, I saw the shirt tug and I allowed advantage play to go on. But the XG you give for Rhode Island just sums it up. They haven't created a chance, they haven't really tested Carlos Saldana. On the other end, Darren Smith, assuming that wasn't offside, was a really, really good chance. So Rhode Island's problems still remain. They're just not creating, and when they do create, they're not clinical enough. Against Pittsburgh, XG was .7 for the entire match, only 2 shots on target. Given all the talent they have in their side, it's back to that question you asked. You know, what's not happening here? What's going wrong? And again, Connor Smith doesn't know. I certainly don't know. Because this quality of players that are playing for Rhode Island should be able to do much better than this.
And they've now reached 360 minutes without a goal in regular season play, Rhode Island. Have to go all the way back to what was a 1-1 draw. It was now 4 matches ago. In between there, they had a match where they scored twice against Hartford in the Jägermeister Cup, but it was that 1-1 draw back on July 5th against Birmingham. The last regular season goal they scored 360 minutes ago. And they end that string right here. Clipped in, backside of the 6. Falls for Quizera now on the volley. It's touched over the bar by Saldana. Their 2 best efforts have come from Quizera from distance. Brilliant save by Saldana.
And lovely strike by Quizera as well. He doesn't half catch those beautifully. Ball chipped in. Trouble for Detroit. They headed clear. chests it, and then that strike there is a wonderful strike. Just that fingertip. Would it have gone in? Hard to say. It might have just hit the crossbar, but that fingertip makes sure that it goes over. Well done, Carlos Saldana.
Another Chick-fil-A corner kick for Rhode Island. Presented by Chick-fil-A Attleboro during all Rhode Island home matches. If Rhode Island score off a corner, show your match ticket at the Chick-fil-A Attleboro location for a free chicken sandwich.
Just while we've got a moment, the referee discussing the do's and don'ts with everyone. When they played at home against Hartford in the league, XG of 1.56, 0 goals. Rhode Island struggling to score.
Whipped in from out wide on the turn. Bacharach trying to get it from out under his feet. Earns another Chick-fil-A Attleboro corner. Here with just 1 minute of stoppage time in this first half. Fans, don't miss out on any of the wicked good soccer this season at Centerville Bank Stadium. Single game tickets for the rest of the season are on sale now.
You know, maybe it's a set piece that eventually gives Rhode Island the goal they've been looking for these last few league matches. They can't seem to score in open play, but with all the big guys they've got, maybe something will come from a set piece such as this one.
Got it down by Yao. Bika lays it back, and he was called for the foul, pushing off of his defender. Will probably bring us to the end of this first half here. Gary, there were flashes in there for Rhode Island, but all in all, a difficult first 45 as now the whistle goes 0-0 between Detroit City and Rhode Island, a game that we expected to be tight, but maybe not this tight.
It certainly is tight. Coco Vegas making a wonderful save to stop Darren Smith, but I'm sure Detroit City happier at halftime. They've been slightly the better side for me. They've looked and created a few chances that look really solid for Rhode Island. Got to do more second half.
Back in a bit with the halftime report. Take a look around USL Championship as we're in that back half of the season now. Everything means that much more. Give you an update on another game going on between Hartford and Miami that directly impacts both of these teams. But for now, it's 0-0 between Rhode Island and Detroit City.
Progress. It's what we strive for, what we sacrifice for. It's about putting in the work. Early mornings, late nights, all in the pursuit of something greater. It's what moves us forward, what unites us. Because progress is more than a goal. It's the journey, the people who stand beside us, and the right partner. Centerville Bank, the official bank of Rhode Island FC. Progress on purpose.
At Ortho Rhode Island, we've built the future of orthopedic care around an important foundation, you. Our experienced surgeons and specialists offer the full spectrum of orthopedic care with leading-edge treatments and technology and a one-of-a-kind patient experience. From diagnosis to outpatient surgery, physical and occupational therapy, acute injury care, and advanced imaging, we make you the cornerstone of innovative care. To learn more or schedule an appointment, visit orthopedicsri.com.
You may think the nicest moments happen once you've arrived at your destination. At Breeze, we think they happen all along the way.
Yeah, let me grab that for you.
That was so nice.
Whether you're kicking back in Breeze Ascent or just enjoying time together in family seating, we take creating nice moments seriously, so you're ready for the rest of the journey ahead. When it's all over, the nicest moment might just be planning your next trip. Breeze. Seriously nice.
It doesn't matter what you ride to work as long as you leave your car behind. Drive less, bike more. With the Drive Less RI app, every green trip counts. Whether you're pedaling to the office or cruising to class, log your bike trips and start earning rewards. Be a climate champion. Bike more, drive less. Download the Drive Less RI app today, because every mile matters. Visit drivelessri.com to get started.
Two teams who really need this one as the playoff races are continuing to heat up to an even higher degree. It's 0-0 between Rhode Island and Detroit City. It's been a busy time elsewhere under the USL umbrella, seeing finals in USL League Two and the USL W League. Let's take a look at how both of those seasons wrapped up.
BYU is the place to be here tonight as Utah United and NC Courage battling out here for a national championship.
NC Courage looking to defend their title, and Utah United looking to make some history with the first expansion team to win a USL W League final.
Now another shot that falls, it goes in the back of the net! And just like that, Utah United off the foot of Evans Toscano. And now Blum puts it in the back of the net. It's 3-0. Sends one in the back of the net. It's 4-0.
USL 2 National Championship between Ballard FC and the Vermont Green. This is a moment very few of us have ever seen. This is a special moment for soccer and for Rhode. It is going to be a big one. These two teams are loaded with talent. They've both led their conferences, their divisions throughout the year, and a chance for Ballard to make it 2 titles in 3 years, and a chance for Vermont Green to do something no one has done since 2010 and go perfect. And the referee points to the spot. He rolls it off the post and in. And Vermont Green take the lead in the national championship at Virtue Field. And there he is, post to top once again. Ingay recovers it, curls it back in. Marshall puts it on, and Kinslow, the national championship goal scorer in NCAA, puts it in 2025. Vermont is the king of soccer. As the Vermont Green win their first ever USL 2 title. And green is the color of victory once again in Burlington, Vermont.
Prinks tires in the USL help soccer journeys everywhere to drive harder. From city playgrounds to suburban sidelines, from early mornings to late nights, from fun with friends to winner takes all, from the biggest fan to the biggest heart. And at every turn, Prinks tires will be there for the long haul.
But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Whoa, termites can eat a pound of wood a day. Pound of wood a day.
Pound of wood a day. Pound of wood a day.
What's wrong, Daddy? Daddy? You okay?
Keep termites out of your home and your head with our premium guarantee that covers up to $250,000 in new termite damage. Before panic shows up, Terminix it.
We want to be the loudest people around. We want you to hear where we are at.
Oh, what a goal!
No one thought we would do what we did against Louisville.
We were hot, we were clicking, we were scoring goals.
Even after the whistle blew and they were champions, forget about it. Raise your scarves, we kept playing.
I don't think I've heard a louder scream from a group of people than we did that night.
That's the important thing about this group. They never stop loving their team.
Rhode Island, are you ready? Rhode Island FC's brand new home, Centralville Bank Stadium, is waiting for you. Don't miss out on any of the action this season, as the Ocean State's very own look to defend their Eastern Conference title. Tickets are available now, starting as low as $16.36 per game. Scan the QR code to secure your seat today.
Scoreless so far between Rhode Island and Detroit City. These fans are the winners of this seriously nice seat upgrade courtesy of Breeze Airways. Each match, Breeze Airways upgraded lucky fans to a premium matchday experience. Breeze Airways, proud partner of Rhode Island FC. Not much in those first 45. Pretty even between these two sides. We'll get back to our game in a moment, but a broader look around USL Championship with some news and notes. We alluded to it a bit in the first half. A lot of coaching changes in the first half of this season. The most recent one, David Rensing, the Charleston assistant, taking control of Vegas.
And I'm sure he learned a lot from Ben Pierman at Charleston Battery, and if he can bring half of that success to Las Vegas Lights, he can pull them off the bottom of the table in the West, so it should be an exciting time for Vegas fans.
One of those other coaching changes was in Tampa Bay. Dom Casiato now in charge there, and all of a sudden they are reversing their fortunes. Big acquisition with Trevor Ammon on the move from Sacramento.
A good finisher, and FC Tulsa, who play later on this evening, just saying that he's the sort of player they wanted, someone who can score goals and someone who wasn't being used at Sac Republic.
Yeah, he wasn't really in a position anymore where he was fully relied upon. Last year there was a stretch where they were heavily having him shoulder the load, but new coach, new system, different story out in Sacramento. Take a look at the upcoming schedule this weekend. I feel like we could say every game is a big game, especially with the way the standings are in both conferences, but if you had to pick one from this slate, which of these six are you keeping your eye on?
Well, I think because it's a Rhode Island match against Detroit, I'm going to pick Rhode Island versus Loudoun. Loudoun have had a little bit of a slump, and Rhode Island at home need points. By the way, for the Detroit City fans, they're at home to Indy 11. So those two matches absolutely huge as these teams seek points to get them or keep them in the top part of the table.
I could see a debut in that Loudoun match from Kimi Ordonez. They just signed today, formerly of FC Cincinnati, Guatemala International. That should be a really needle-moving signing for Loudoun. And I don't have to ask you the question for this one. It's upper left. Lou City, Charleston Battery. I would judge you if you picked any other game but that one from this segment of games.
No, I get you 100%. It's the two Titans, the two best teams in the entire USL, and they're both battling it out for the East, and they are way clear of anybody else at this moment.
I'm just about to say, not just the East, battling it out there for the Players' Shield in all likelihood as well, because nobody in the West is touching either of those two teams in the point tally. Rhode Island and Detroit City need 3 points of their own. See if either can find that goal, that bit of magic, coming up in half number 2.
At Ortho Rhode Island, we've built the future of orthopedic care around an important foundation: you. Our experienced surgeons and specialists offer the full spectrum of orthopedic care with leading-edge treatments and technology and a one-of-a-kind patient experience. From diagnosis to outpatient surgery, physical and occupational therapy, acute injury care, and advanced imaging, we make you the cornerstone of innovative care. To learn more or schedule an appointment, visit orthopedicsri.com.
It doesn't matter what you ride to work as long as you leave your car behind. Drive less, bike more. With the Drive Less RI app, every green trip counts. Whether you're pedaling to the office or cruising to class, log your bike trips and start earning rewards. Be a climate champion. Bike more, drive less. Download the Drive Less RI app today, because every mile matters. Visit drivelessri.com to get started.
You may think the nicest moments happen once you've arrived at your destination. At Breeze, we think they happen all along the way.
Yeah, let me grab that for you.
That was so nice.
Whether you're kicking back in Breeze Ascent or just enjoying time together in family seating, we take creating nice moments seriously, so you're ready for the rest of the journey ahead. When it's all over, the nicest moment might just be planning your next trip. Breeze. Seriously nice.
Progress. It's what we strive for, what we sacrifice for. It's about putting in the work. Early mornings, late nights, all in the pursuit of something greater. It's what moves us forward, what unites us. Because progress is more than a goal. It's the journey, the people who stand beside us, and the right partner. Centerville Bank, the official bank of Rhode Island FC. Progress on purpose.
Fans keeping hydrated at halftime here at Centennial Bank Stadium. Rhode Island 0, Detroit City 0. As we take a look back at highlights from the first half, brought to you by Cox Business. After the first 45 minutes, the stats maybe do look a little bit nicer. 5 shots apiece, 1 shot on target apiece. So that tells you there were some moments, but they were few and far between in terms of how they were staggered throughout that first half.
Certainly were very, very few than that one. Yamazaki gets a decent effort, just pulls it wide of goal. There was a lot of defenders in front of him, not easy. And this one, a free kick from Ates Diouf, not far over. I mean, he's really hit this well. Vegas probably had it covered, but still it's a fantastic strike. And then a nice little build-up. Kobe Hernandez-Foster, ball through. Now this is the moment. Darren Smith turns, he's onside, puts it in the corner, but what a good save from Koke Vegas. Gets down and spreads that big palm out.
And you spent the majority of halftime like piecing together the highlights to make sure he was onside and the save was actually relevant. He was onside, the save was relevant, and in the goalkeepers union you get to give Koke Vegas an even bigger pat on the back. There was a big pat on the back for Saldana at the end of this first half as well, keeping this effort from Dojea Cruzera out of the net.
Tipped that one over this one, rather over the crossbar. Have a look there. His fingertips just do enough to make sure this one can't drop into the back of the net, and that's what gives the XG a little bit of a better look as far as Rhode Island are concerned. XG 0.35 for Rhode Island, 0.45 for Detroit City. But look at that, 1 shot on target each.
And I want to point to the possession because right around the halfway mark of the first half, it was flipped. It was closer to 55-60 in Detroit's favor than it was in Rhode Island. So just as that half went along, it started to feel and look like Rhode Island were growing more into the game, and the stats do bear that out as well.
Yeah, but it's still been very, very tight. Not enough for us to really get excited about, but it could all come to life in the second half because, as we've said many times, both these teams desperately need the points.
Neither of these sides have registered a regular season win since mid-late June. For Rhode Island, it was back on June 14th. Detroit City back on June 21st. Here's a look at the live standings where Detroit City sit. Currently in 6th. But the pressure is starting to mount. Only 2 points better than Indy, 2 points better than Miami in the live table, 3 points better than Birmingham, so it could just as easily shift the other way. We'll show you below that playoff line now where Rhode Island is in the mix. If they turn this into a victory here, they leapfrog and go above the line themselves, but just as easily, Rhode Island could fall to last this evening, or rather this week, depending on the Hartford and Tampa Bay results. So there's going to be a lot of movement at this point of the year in the East, in the West, above the line, below the line. It's anybody's guess at this point who the 4 teams are going to be left beneath each of the 2 playoff lines. If I told you both these teams are below the line, you might believe it. If I told you both these teams make it, you'd probably believe it. We're at that point of the USL Championship season in terms of the parity where you'd believe just about anything at this stage.
100% agree with you on that, which is why Rhode Island, who are in the slightly worse off position, at least Detroit are in the playoff positions. They need to do more. They are the home side, and I want to see what they can do in the next 45 minutes.
Away we go in this second half. Rhode Island left to right in the blue. Detroit City right to left in the white. Going to have you along on ESPN Plus with Manchester United great Gary Bailey. I'm Joe Malfa. The haze settling from over the field. Some of the flares and smoke sent up by the supporters for Rhode Island at the start of this half. We're hoping to see some of those pyrotechnics between the lines in this second 45.
Abdou Diop there just being blocked by Clay Holstead. Free kick given. Nice little run down that left-hand side from Abdou Diop. Haven't called his name much in the first half, so let's see if he can start to stamp his authority on this match in the second 45 minutes.
Yamazaki, he's on a yellow, the only yellow to remember from that first half. Overlap, Yamazaki finds it. Yamazaki delivers it and wins a corner. High Noon's quality is second to none, formulated with real spirits, real juice, and real iced tea. No added sugar and natural flavors. High Noon, the perfect drink for any occasion. Hernandez Foster In swinger from the corner. Dangerous ball punched away by goalkeeper Coque Vegas.
Good punch from the goalkeeper there. Gets it far away from danger.
Ahead to Chapman. Opening up Atez Diouf. Atez Diouf at his best when he can get out and go in space. He just hasn't had a lot of space tonight. He's been playing more in the pocket, operating as a 10, more so than as a winger running into space. It's a different role than where we've seen him recently, but he can flip in between the roles freely as the evening goes along. The USL on CBS Sports Network continues. Eastern Conference playoff contenders North Carolina FC and Detroit City FC face off Friday, August 15th at 7:30 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. That is not this Friday, but next Friday, the 15th.
Again, looking back at that first half, touches in the opposition box, just 6 for the home side, 9 for the visitors. Normally expect that number to be, you know, double figures at least, and maybe closer to 20. So both teams really haven't caused much of a problem inside the box as yet. And if Rhode Island are to, certainly they have a couple of players on the bench. Zach Harivo back. He's been missing for a while. Maxi Rodriguez, former Detroit City. Surprised he didn't start the match. Often you play a player against his former side just because you know he's going to be fired up to do well. And then Noah Fuson, having been left out the side, you bring him on and get him running at defenses. So certainly the home team have a couple of good options on the bench if they choose to use them.
Depth is a different story for Detroit City. That's where they run into some issues this year. But their bench is maybe the most full it's been after those 10 days off and with the acquisition of Kobe Hernandez-Foster, who's fouled here. But you have the likes of Villanueva, Rutz, Cedeno, and Adebayo Smith available on the bench tonight. Marky Barra picks up this yellow.
It's a cheap yellow. For me, it's a silly yellow. It's a bit of shirt tugging, not in a dangerous position. It's not like the player's about to run into the box. And now, as we always say, time and time again, just takes one silly tackle, one little moment where you misjudge something, second yellow and you're off. It's the first yellow, the unnecessary first yellow, that gets you into trouble.
Perfect pass. That's a corned beef on rye hat trick. 3 Kugels, please, at Mavens. We play to win with flavors that score every time. Head through for Darren Smith. Flag stays down, bending around the corner of Mabika defending. An awkward chip away by Mabika. Put his fellow defender in an awkward position there. Williams. Back by Shapiro Thompson.
There's another player we haven't spoken much about, Shapiro Thompson, one that needs to get into the match. Just chatting to Connor Smith about him. He said he knew him when he was just a young kid of 13, used to pick him up and take him to the training at New England Revs. And he says he just knows his background, knows his history. He scored a cracking goal against Hartford in the Jaeger Cup, and no doubt would love to do so again here today.
Worked it back through the wide position, Clay Holstead. Pressuring Amu Mensah. So far, only 6 minutes, but we've reverted to the earlier stage of this game where Detroit City were controlling the tempo, the possession, the territory, whereas late in that first half it shifted Rhode Island's way. A reversion to where things started tonight. Mensah. Foster. Atwood maybe could have been an assist. And that chance for Darren Smith in the first half. Forced that outstanding save by Koke Vegas. Really slowing it down. Now Detroit City. Michael Bryant. Devin Amu-Mensah. Deflected off of Holstead, but right back for Amu-Mensah. Recent chat with Danny Dicchio, he said one of the things that they wanted to get away from was possession for possession's sake. It was something that the trap rather they were falling into at times in the first half of the season. Felt they've been coming out of that rut. I wonder if some of tonight's possession has just been that, though, possession for possession's sake. Amu-Mensah. Turn Williams, good battle. And the foul goes against Williams. Corcoran had good positioning and went to ground. You can watch the USL Championship in Spanish on Tudana, the nation's leading Spanish language sports network. Lexington, Phoenix, that's Saturday, August 9th at 6 Eastern. You can go to USLChampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings.
I guess we have to look on the positive side, and both coaches would probably say this, is that their teams have defended really well. Both of them. I'll tell you more in a moment.
Montez Diouf with a full head of steam. Diouf going for goal save. Rebound, headed over the bar. Oh, Darren Smith just cannot buy a goal right now. Oftentimes, that's how it is for strikers. They come in droves, and then you go through a long, elongated drought. He's in the mix of one of those right now.
Kobe Hernandez fostered her so well to win the ball. It's a good effort from Diouf. Good save from Vegas. Now, for me, Darren Smith's got to hit that down. I'm not saying he necessarily scores, but he's got to hit the target. Going high like that, I don't know what he's thinking. Maybe trying to bury it in the top corner, but just knock it down. It's going to still be very difficult for Koke Vegas to make a save from 6 yards out, but you've got to play the percentage game, and well done, Diouf. He did his bit, forced the goalkeeper into a very difficult save where he palmed the ball out into a dangerous area, but Darren Smith, that's two great chances that have gone begging. Danny Dicchio would wish that he had been on the end of that thing, because he would have buried that.
Mensah, Montez Diouf. This time it's Diouf who commits the foul. Got a hand up around the neck area of Mark Ibarra there. Started talking to from the referee, starting to count up to those imaginary spots on the field, as if to warn Montez Diouf, hey, it's 2 or 3 now. Another, and you're in the book.
It's a pull of the shirt rather than the actual neck, so I don't know what Mark Ibarra is doing. Maybe the front of his shirt pulls up on his neck a little bit, but you know, it's one of those where if you got a yellow card for that, you'd blame Ibarra for overacting. But again, you could be careful pulling people's shirts, giving the referee any reason to give you that dreaded first yellow card.
Shapiro Thompson looking to thread it through. He had opportunity. In behind for Aldair Sanchez. Bacharach muscles off Montez Diouf. Here's Holstead earning a corner. Or is it a handball? Yeah, it's given as a penalty. Wow. After a quick glance at the assistant referee, our center referee, Corbin May, decided and it would be a penalty. That's why the Detroit players are arguing with the assistant referee. He was the one who had the better angle, who spotted it, who alerted our center referee. So it's a penalty rather than a corner. And that turns everything on its head here. A yellow for Jessiel Cedeno, who's in the substitute area. Keep that in mind if he enters in a little while. He'll enter with a yellow card. No VAR in the equation, so the call made is the call that stands. We'll show you and let you be the judge.
Will we get the benefit of seeing it a second time? I'm not sure that. I have to see it again, to be honest. But the assistant ref's in a good position. This should tell us. Hard to see. It's not a clear picture, is it? But he pulls his left arm back almost guiltily. Whether it's enough, but if the assistant ref, who's in a better position than any of us or our cameras, if he sees it as a clear handball, he's entitled to give it, and he has.
That's a moment where, as a center referee, you are relying on your assistant referee who's got a clear look at it. He's looking at it straight on. He could see if the defender, in that case, Reese Williams, throws out that little bit of a chicken wing to make himself a little bit bigger. In the meantime, substitutions coming here for Rhode Island. That'll be it for Jojea Quizera. He's replaced by Noah Fuson. And we'll see Maxi Rodriguez come on as well. Former Detroit City FC player for Amos Shapiro-Thompson.
That makes sense for me. They needed fresh blood to come on this pitch and liven things up, although I think the penalty will do that job for them to some degree.
They've been looking for a lifeline. They haven't scored a regular season goal since July 5th, a 1-1 draw against Birmingham. Closing in on 400 minutes without a goal. Officially 375 minutes right now, that regular season goalless drought.
Maxi Rodriguez took the last penalty, if I'm not mistaken, against Hartford. Do you think he'll come on and straight away take a penalty?
Well, you wonder if that's why they're making the substitution right now, and he's coming to grab the ball. Wow. Usually you don't make substitutions on set pieces in moments like that unless you have some sort of purpose in mind. So he comes right on the field, he grabs the ball against his former team. Now Maxi Rodriguez will set up for the penalty.
Certainly hope he's done his stretches beforehand and he's nice and limbered up. But this is a vital, vital moment for Rhode Island in the story of this season.
It was in that match against Hartford in the Jägermeister Cup that he scored on a penalty. His first season with Rhode Island after spending 2021 through 2024 with Detroit City. This is going to be his first touch of the ball. He just subbed on after the penalty was given. Rodriguez scores it at the hour mark against his former club. A muted celebration externally, internally. Has to feel good for that man.
Absolutely, he couldn't have written the script better. He must have been really upset that he didn't start the match against his former club, but to come on and with his very first touch score, yes, it's a penalty, but he'll take it. And he's put his team in a great position. Funny, we said a bit earlier that their breakthrough might come from a set piece. We thought it might be a corner or something. Instead, it's been a penalty, perhaps fortuitous. And certainly there'll be arguments from Detroit City that it was a harsh penalty. We can't neither confirm nor deny whether it is. I think the best person in the best position was the assistant ref. He gave it. End of story. Match goes on. Now, can Rhode Island build from this, or Detroit City going to work their way back into the game?
Second of the season for Maxi Rodriguez. Capelli Sport goal for Rhode Island. Will it be enough now? 30 minutes remaining here at Centerville Bank Stadium in Pawtucket. Glad to have you with us this evening on ESPN Plus. Alongside Manchester United great Gary Bailey, I'm Joe Malfa. Half hour left to see this over the finish line for Rhode Island. A match, a result that could put them above the playoff line. Matheus Diouf trying to turn the corner. Rhode Island haven't won in the regular season since June 14th, so almost 2 full months. It's right there in touching distance now.
This is a tough result so far for Detroit City. They've had the 2 best chances by far, both falling to Darren Smith. Should have scored at least one, if not both. They've had a penalty, you know, harsh penalty, but maybe fair. We can't say to be 100% sure, but certainly they'll complain about it. So things not going their way, but Rhode Island don't care. They need the 3 points. They need to start winning at home on this turf pitch and make it a fortress, make it a pitch that other teams don't want to come and play on, and this penalty will certainly help their cause.
many times you've seen a player sub in after a penalty was awarded, take the penalty and convert the penalty? It's not often.
Not
it's
often.
not often. That's what Maxi Rodriguez just did, and sprinkle on top of all of that it's against his former team. But as you noted going into that penalty, he took their last penalty, so it's not as if Econo Smith in the back of his mind said, oh, let me sub him in to take this penalty against his former team. No, he subbed him in because he's a penalty taker at that moment, and he comes in and he nails it. It just so happened to be against his former team.
And I think he had both Maxi and Noah almost ready to come on. He was looking to make that sub.
Very serendipitous.
Yes, and he decides to make it right there and then.
Leading goal scorer for Detroit City FC on his first year away from the club. Reese Williams called for the foul. You have a game plan to pay for college? If not, check with RISLA, a local expert on preparing, planning, and paying for college. Visit RISLA.com.
We can build on this. Maxi Rodriguez has been a mixed season for him, probably not the season he was hoping for. You join a team that made the championship final, finished 5th in the East. You're assuming things will get better. They haven't. So it wouldn't have been the best season, but he could still turn it around. And having come on and scored, you've got fresh legs, fresh mind. This is a game in which he could make it all about him if he gets another goal or certainly an assist.
Mensa brought down. I think Detroit City wanted the advantage in the end, but brought back for the free kick. Whether you're headed to work, school, or game day, RIPTA gets you there with statewide service and easy trip planning. Transit's never been simpler. Visit RIPTA.com to plan your ride. Taken quickly from the free kick. Hernandez Foster's ball headed away. Dequa. See the reaction there, bottom of your screen. Some of the fans wanted that to go forward. Ibarra slows it down, works it back, but it seemed like something might have been on. Had he been more proactive, if you're Econo Smith, you could probably live with that in that moment now with a 1-0 lead. Maxi Rodriguez, pressure off the penalty goal. Offside the call against the home side.
That's a City free kick to get. I mean, you can see down the line, you can't afford to let yourself get caught in an offside position. Not Maxi Rodriguez's fault. He was the one passing the ball, but you lose all impetus. Rather than creating a chance, you've now lost possession, and now you've got to defend. It's those things that I'm sure is driving Econo Smith crazy at the moment, but hold on. 1-0 up, he won't be that crazy. He will if they lose control of this match and they don't get the 3 points.
Williams cut off, and now Ibarra lost it to Williams. Vegas retreating into goal. Williams trying to center it out for a corner. That could have been a very dangerous moment. A pair of changes coming. Next stoppage after this one for Detroit City. Told it'll be Alex Villanueva for Haruki Yamazaki and Connor Rutz for Darren Smith, if that holds to form. And it'll be a redo of this corner. The referee came in and stopped play for a moment.
I've been impressed with Corbin May as a referee because he really does explain it to the players. He lets them know what they've done wrong, where they stand, what the next step is if they continue. He's very upfront like that, and he speaks to the captains and explains his decisions.
Corner whipped in. Well, just as the first one, before the whistle from Corbin May, it ends with Koke Vegas rising above and snatching it. No harm, no foul there.
You have to go back to Koke Vegas' save first half to say that was a turning point in the match. If they'd have gone ahead, Detroit then, Darren Smith had scored, but for a great save by the keeper, he would have done. Totally different story, you would think.
Unfortunately for Detroit City, it's starting to feel like a reversion to what it was before that Jägermeister Cup win over Westchester 3-0 back on July 26th. They've been off ever since then, 10 days off. prior to that Jägermeister Cup game, a 0-0 draw against Pittsburgh, part of a larger stretch where wins have been hard to come by, goals have been hard to come by. Here they are in the 67th minute, staring down the barrel of a loss and being held without a goal once again. For a team that was once among the top 3 with Lou City and Charleston in the early days of the season, Detroit City would be winless in regular season play since June 21st. They'd be in 6th place on 21 points. Rhode Island would be in 9th on 20 points, but it's given away here. Jope goes for goal. Vegas makes another save. Well, these moments in the second half where Detroit City have threatened, each one has come off of a needless turnover in the midfield by Rhode Island. It's quickly turning into a transitional moment. Vegas, another big save.
Goalkeeper's making a name for himself in that he's back in goals again. That's a useful save. Tips it away from danger for a corner, doesn't drop it into the middle there. You could see white shirts running in case he spilled it in front of them. He didn't. That's why he's such a good goalkeeper, Koke Vegas.
Hernandez Foster from the corner. Outswinger. Dealt with initially by Holstead. Williams. Cutting in, Williams brought down, free kick in a very dangerous spot here for Detroit City.
Got some defending for Rhode Island to do here, get themselves organized. As you say, it's that sort of position. It's probably a little bit too close to the box in a way. Rhys Williams doing really well here. Looking for, well, I don't see much contact there, to be honest. Let's have a look at this again. No, I think that's a dive. He's dragged his left foot and taken the dive. That's why there's complaints from Rhode Island players. But the referee's bought it, and you can't blame the referee. We only saw it only in slow motion. If players want to be devious, they can, and it's won them a free kick in a good position. I was going to say, very, very close to the box. It means it's difficult to get it up and over the wall and down again. So often the best option there is to go straight at the goalkeeper's side and then follow up lots of numbers so that if you can't hold it, you bang it into the net.
You do have a wicked left foot, though, at least from this side of the box, which is what you'd prefer here. Somebody like Hernandez Foster. Can he find a way to beat Koke Vegas? Youth more than capable as well. Saw him nearly score a free kick in the first half. Who's it going to be with 20 minutes to go? It's Hernandez Foster into the wall. Williams settles. Lumps it toward the back post, but overcooks it. Stays in play with the spin. Youth works it back. Shout for handball given. It's outside the area. So this will essentially be just a shorter corner here for Detroit City. Some pleas for a penalty, but clearly out of the box. You can see where Amu Mensah is standing and pointing to. A wry smile on the face of our referee, Corbin May. He knows it wasn't in the box. I think they all know it wasn't in the box, but you're going to try.
It's interesting, the assistant ref didn't give that, the referee did, and the assistant ref was in a better position in many ways. Let's have a look. Well,
maybe it was closer to the box. I take that back. I give Detroit City some credit for arguing that now. It was right on the line. I thought it was further. It was right by the line. Have to give it a go. See if you could fool anybody. Here are those changes now. As told earlier, Yamazaki and Smith coming off for Villanueva and Rutz.
That's what you need, fresh energy on the pitch now. New ideas as you start to chase the game again, which, to be fair, they shouldn't be chasing, given the chances they've had. Not been the happiest of days for Darren Smith, being subbed out and having 2 wonderful chances to have scored.
Played through, and Villanueva's first touch after coming in as a sub. Off balance. Sends it into the fans.
You get to see it again. Just couldn't quite open up, couldn't turn his body and open it up with some pushing and shoving here, right in front of the referee as well.
Nobody involved on a yellow card. We'll worry about seeing a second yellow here. That free kick, it just seemed Villanueva was out of sorts, and maybe there was a miscommunication. Hernandez Foster played that ball, as a yellow is shown now, to Mabika and to Abdoulaye Diop, it appears as well, so one each way. But Gary, you wonder if in that moment it was a little bit of Hernandez Foster still getting used to new teammates, because Villanueva, a left-footed player, that ball was squared back by Hernandez Foster as if he was expecting a right-footed first-time hit, and then Villanueva opened up to get it on his preferred left. Those are the little things that sometimes fall through the cracks for Hernandez Foster in his first game with his new team. Sure, you're working with Villanueva in training, but having only been here about a week, you sometimes forget who's right foot, who's left foot, where this ball has to be.
That's a very good point you make, because he did struggle to open up his body there to get a decent strike. Did Villanueva. And it's probably for that reason.
Dequa into the punch. And Michael Bryant. Well, back to that moment, though, you would still probably like Villanueva to just have a hit with his right foot. Even though he's not a right-footed player, just do what's most natural. Has to be better than what the alternative turned out to be. There's Diop. Played two of their possible cards, Detroit City. Jesse Cedeno, Jordan Adebayo-Smith are the other two attacking-minded players they can bring on. Abdoulaye Diop and Jay Chapman, both defensive midfielders by trade. You could sacrifice one of your 2 6s in there for the extra attacking piece in Jesse Cedeno and play with 2 10s. Be more proactive, down a goal. Some maneuverability in the ranks in that regard for Danny Dicchio.
Good thing for Rhode Island from now onwards is that they are such a good team defensively. We said 4th best in the league, so there's no reason why they can't hold on to a 1-0 lead for just over 15 minutes. And if they got themselves a win here today, you never know, it could spark a good run. They've got Birmingham coming up in the quarterfinal of the Jägermeister Cup. A win there, and they're suddenly in the semis and climbing up the table, and everyone's happy again. So it all can turn on 1 or 2 moments. Yet if they conceded and only got 1 point, then they wouldn't be in a playoff position and the season could go downhill. So much on this last 15 minutes riding, especially for Rhode Island.
You mentioned earlier that they only have 1 road match coming in this stretch of 6 games starting tonight. That road game is actually against Hartford, another edition of El Clamico, so it's not even a far road trip. They will wake up that morning, probably in their own beds, and go to sleep that night, probably in their own beds. So from now until September 17th, when they travel to Miami, they will be probably sleeping in their beds every single night, Rhode Island. Granted, the opponents in that stretch are all difficult. Loudon this weekend. Beyond that Birmingham game in Jägermeister Cup, they play Louisville, they play Charleston. It is a very difficult stretch coming, but they will be doing it all at home.
That's why they have to make this home turf pitch of theirs their sort of castle, a place that can't be broken down. And I haven't been that impressed with them today, to be honest, but as long as they come away with 3 points, they'll be happy. Just the better team for me has slightly been Detroit City.
Nice move here by Williams, excuse me. Was looking for Rutz. He's still down beyond the end line. 1-man advantage right now for Rhode Island. He is still off the field. Detroit City will be taking notice and playing it out. They'll continue on. Villanueva, he has still not come back on the field, Williams. There he is, top of your screen, right next to the clock. Laying down a man this whole time. He limps back out there for a Detroit City throw. You could actually hear Cano Smith shout, "What are you doing?" from the field microphones. He was unhappy with that clearance, felt they could have done better and not conceded possession. Now a player goes down in the middle for Rhode Island, while Williams is still hobbled for Detroit City. It seems like Corcoran is just cramping here. He was signaling to get a drink or something, one of the pickle juice packets or a mustard packet, something of the sort here. There it is. What did he opt for? Oh, looks like he opted for the pickle juice shot.
You just wonder whether there's an option off the bench, such as a Zach Harivo or Joe Brito, because he's come in on debut. If he's feeling a bit of strain, if he's not used to playing regular matches, which he wasn't getting at Nashville, maybe maybe it's worth bringing him off and getting some fresh legs on.
Miller Lite, the proud sponsor of Rhode Island Football Club. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
Having a discussion there because they know the importance of the next 12, 13 minutes plus added time. They know that 3 points here, playoff position, quarterfinals coming up in Jaeger Cup. They could all take off and their season could end up being another great season as it was last year. And conversely, it could go downhill if they concede and only get a draw. So as a professional, you know, you get these senses of when the season hangs in the balance and what you have to do. And they'll do anything they can to hang on to this, win these 3 valuable points.
Change is coming. It'll be Abdoulaye Diop, as expected, sacrificing one of the defensive-minded midfielders for Jesse Cedeno. That also gets a yellow card off the field for Detroit City. Also tells you that Williams is probably okay after you saw him down beyond the end line moments ago. Had he been more seriously injured, no doubt Danny Dicchio would have subbed him off there to not burn a substitution window. On the other end, a couple of changes coming for Rhode Island. Albert Dequa's day is done. Will be replaced by Joe Brito. Danny Rivera coming on as well. It'll be for Clay Holstead.
Taking off a striker there, bringing on a midfielder in Joe Brito. Dicqua going off gives the sense that they're going to try and just manage these last 12 plus minutes, keep possession, see the match to a conclusion. Haven't seen the best of Dicqua yet, but he put in a good shift defensively. You've got to give him credit for that.
Still astonishing to look up and see him and J.J. Williams and their other big guns only on 2 goals each. The team lead for an individual player for Rhode Island, 2 goals at this point in the season. I suppose you could understand that if they were a team that was lacking talent, or if the talent were maybe in other areas of the field, but the most talented area in terms of the roster build of this team is in the attack, and yet nobody more than 2. A corner to contend with. And as Foster from the corner, and he will get to do it again. And as Foster again, service lacking. He's been pretty good tonight in terms of his service from set pieces and from open play. One not his finest moment. To know the secret to business is that last, it's your people. Tap into your people power with Insperity, the trailblazers in human resources, because how you HR matters.
This is where Rhode Island have to do the work. You can see them, Maxi Rodriguez sprinting across here. Close them down, don't let them put pressure on your defense.
Says Diouf has Rutz underlapping. Diouf tried to lay it off. It was a heartbeat too late. Brito navigates. Foul call there, Rhode Island. Instead, Detroit City soldiers on. Amu Mensah. And as Foster leads it through. Good service from Amu Mensah. It's maybe the last guy you wanted, though, in that moment. Wanted a striker or a winger. Atez Diouf. Not a slower-footed center back, as good as he's been tonight, and as much as he's left out there, Amu Mensah. Just thought he didn't have quite enough to get to that ball.
And went down very heavily. Maybe just hoping the referee might be sympathetic for a penalty, but you can see Corbin May, the ref, not interested at all.
And it is a penalty that has been the difference tonight. 60th minute. It's on a handball that went against Reese Williams. Not initially given by the center referee, who was pointing for a corner kick. The assistant referee, who was in a better position, spotted it, notified Corbin May. Call was made. Maxi Rodriguez wasn't on the field when the ball was handled, but he subbed in during the stoppage. came on and converted the penalty at the hour mark against his former team. A muted celebration. Oh, it meant a lot to him, though. Elsewhere, Hartford 1, Miami 0.
Ooh. They're on such a run, Hartford. Just accumulated. That's what the referee's just pointing there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Accumulation. Into the book goes Corcoran.
So in the live table, with Rhode Island leading 1-0 here, they sit in 8th place on 20 points above the playoff line. Hartford sit just beneath them in 9th on 19 points. Among all the teams in the playoff mix right now, Hartford, believe it or not, is actually the team that controls destiny above all else, having played just 17 games. Obviously not going to happen this way you'd expect, but Hartford wins all their games, they're in. They control destiny the way the board is laid out.
And just 1 loss in 8 games for Hartford. They really have found their feet at last, and I'm sort of predicting that they will make the playoffs and maybe have a bit of a run in the playoffs. It's all about form, and they're coming into form just the right time.
That time of year where I think we start to have that conversation more during the course of these broadcasts, familiarizing the fans at home with some of the situations around the league, and Hartford is that team to take notice of. Early in the year, I don't think there was a team that was more injured than Hartford and set back by those injuries than Hartford. They're finally fully loaded, fully healthy. Their last 5 games, 3 wins, a draw, and a loss. The loss came 1-0 to Tampa Bay. The draw came 0-0 against this Rhode Island team on the road. The last win they had was a 4-0 thrashing of New Mexico, one of the top teams in the Western Conference. And some of the losses and draws that have been in this stretch, it's been tight games against Charleston, tight games against Lou City, tight games against Loudoun, going up against all the best teams in the league and either beating them or drawing them for the most part. There's Villanueva for Detroit City. Took a deflection on his ball through. Hernandez Foster played it to himself in a way. Cuts inside, Hernandez Foster squaring it toward the penalty spot, cleared. Driven from a long way away. That got on Coque Vegas quick, but not for a goal kick.
I think Coque Vegas had it covered, but it was still a great strike from a long distance. It's been such a frustrating day for Le Rouge, Detroit City. They have come close, they've hit some good strikes. They've tested Coque Vegas, they've had 2 wonderful opportunities, they've had an unlucky penalty given against them. It just hasn't been their day, it hasn't been their last couple of months, in fact. But you can't say that they haven't created the chances, they certainly have. It just, things aren't going for them, and it happens in football.
Mensa, Villanueva. Big kick for Detroit City. Preparing another substitution, it'll be Zachary Harivo. And they will make that change right here, right now. They'll replace Corcoran. Solid club debut in the middle of the midfield for Corcoran.
He's done okay, Corcoran. Started off fairly well on the ball, but sort of faded a bit, which is understandable. Hasn't been playing 90 minutes. I thought he might have come off a little bit earlier to get Harivo on with the fresh legs, but then Harivo himself has been hampered by injury, so maybe Connor Smith just minimizing the minutes to take care of Harivo.
Villanueva delivering for Rhodes. Getting to every ball in the air right now, Rhode Island. Winning every second ball, too, it feels like. Cedeno. Well shielded all the way out for a goal kick.
Get some applause from the crowd as well. They know they're very close to picking up these points now, Rhode Island. And if they do go on to be successful, you just wonder if this is their turning point after the defeat at Pittsburgh, the sending off of J.J. Williams. Just a bad day at the office for Rhode Island. And if they hold on to this, this could be a moment when they get that confidence, get themselves into that playoff position, and then face the quarterfinals of the Jaeger Cup That's coming up very soon.
Couple more changes coming now for Detroit City. Reese Williams departing for Jordan Adebayo Smith. And it'll be Matt Sheldon for Shane Wheat.
Just looking at Adebayo Smith, I was hoping he might come on a little bit earlier for Detroit. He's got the power and ability to get goals just through his physique. And coming on late just gives him only a couple of minutes in which to impact this game.
Looking for the perfect venue to host your group event? Look no further than Centerville Bank Stadium, now offering a variety of unique spaces to elevate your experience. I suppose form comes and goes for players, especially strikers at a young age, and Jordan Adebayo Smith's case at 24, but a player that I think you expected more of coming into this year with his loan here to Detroit City from Minnesota United of Major League Soccer, spending last year with their MLS Next Pro side and their MLS side, so he was up and down between the two teams, which made it really tough to find form. Had a dozen goals 2 seasons ago in MLS Next Pro. Player who was banging in goals in 2021 and 2022 for Tampa Bay Rowdies in their years making the Eastern Conference Final on back-to-back occasions. Just hasn't clicked for him here in his age 24 season on loan to Detroit City. It's in there, we've seen it. It hasn't quite come out yet for LaRouge. Kick clipped in, knocked down, falls for Rutz, going for goal. All Vegas could do was turn and watch. Unfortunately, it sails over the bar.
There's a few Detroit City players put their hands on their head there because they thought when that dropped to Connor Rutz, that was a chance for him to have hit target and maybe hit the back of the net, but just doesn't quite connect with it properly, does Rutz. Doesn't end up bothering Koke Vegas at all, but it was a little half chance.
Minute. Waiting word on stoppage time. Shots, 3 on target for Detroit City. Expected goals tally of .91. In some ways, it's better than what Rhode Island has shown tonight, to your point that you made earlier that they've been the better side, it seems, this evening, Detroit City, but a chance to make it 2 for Rhode Island, deflected and out for a corner. The other side, Rhode Island has a 1.24 expected goals tally looking at from the advanced stats, but .75 of that is allocated just to the penalty kick. So from the open run of play, it's about a half of an expected goal, which is less than Detroit City has at nearly 1. Well, that's just details right now. The most important thing is the 1-0 for Rhode Island where it matters most. Another Chick-fil-A corner kick brought to you by Chick-fil-A Attleboro. Arivo, Rodriguez, 7 minutes of stoppage time. All the way back to Koke Vegas. Yes, it was an offensive corner for Rhode Island, but not taking any chances about getting caught out in a transitional moment.
It's probably not pretty to watch if you're a Rhode Island fan and you're at the ground even. It's tough in the sense that you want your team to be on the front foot at home and creating chance after chance, but they're battling for their lives. They're battling for a playoff place, and as you quite rightly say, the only thing that counts at the end of the day here is that Rhode Island get 3 points, and if you're a Detroit City fan, what counts is can you get a late equalizer and leave with a point and look back on a game in which you had the better chances.
His Diouf. Devin Amumensa. Looks Villanueva. Wants to get it to his left foot if he can. Delivers a dangerous ball with that left foot. But again, it's Rhode Island the first to every ball in the air right now. There's nobody really crashing and threatening for Detroit City. Cedeno trying to sneak it through for Diouf. It's part of a larger problem for Detroit City, especially when Darren Smith isn't out there. They don't really have an aerial threat from the open run of play, a striker or a attacking player who's going to go up and go get it. Sure, if they send their center backs forward in a case like this, at this stage of the game, maybe you do. Amu Mensah, they don't really have any other aerial threat.
I always felt, though, that Atis Diouf and Darren Smith were enough of a threat. They created good enough chances. And I'm sure that Danny Dicker will look back at it and say, well, we had to finish one of those two chances from Darren Smith. And he certainly would have. You can see the man there, he's 6'4" or 5 anyway, so he would have won the headers, Danny Dicker. But he knows as a striker, you've got to take one of those good chances when they come along.
This will be a corner for Detroit City.
Amu Mensah, he scored that header in the Jaeger Cup match against Westchester, so he would love to score another one. Back-to-back games.
Hernandez Foster will deliver. He's been dangerous on these corner services tonight, especially the in-swingers. Here he is again. Good area. Amu Mensah was there. That'll be from the opposite side.
He won the header, Amu Mensah, and it hit the back of one of the Rhode Island players. Might have been Bacharach, who's gone down. If you have a look at this, I think he wins it. There, he heads it and it goes into Hugo Bacharach's face. If it didn't, that was heading towards goal from Amu Mensah.
Hernandez Foster again, this time with the right foot. He'll take him from both sides and have the in-swinger on both sides, though he prefers the left-footed deliveries. We've actually seen him take corners from this side tonight with the left foot as an outswinger. He'll leave this one for somebody else. Driven toward that near post again. Cedeno couldn't get it through the traffic. Skied by Saldana. Fed ahead to Sheldon, who's offside. And the threat will end there.
Good play from Rhode Island in terms of defending hold of their line, getting the offside. They can kill the game now for a little while. Under pressure there from a few set pieces. Some bodies having to be thrown on the line there, including big Hugo Bacharach there blocking that header from Amu Mensah. And now Koke Vegas, yep, just everybody get up and then boot it along to the other half of the pitch and then try and keep the ball there. I think he's made a difference, Koke Vegas. He's saved in the first half, top class. Brilliant, keeps the clean sheet. They trust him, they know he's an experienced top-class keeper. And him being back might just be the difference that Rhode Island need to suddenly feel that luck is turning their way and they can win games. They've got Loudoun United at home coming up. Loudoun on a bad skid at the moment. And then Birmingham at home in the Jaeger Cup. So two big matches, they could certainly win those.
Joe Brito picks up a late yellow. 2 minutes of stoppage time remaining. That yellow shouldn't matter now. Seconds remaining in stoppage time. Detroit City have to make something happen. 12 shots, 3 on target tonight. Instead, could Rhode Island slam the door the other way? Fuson bending it, seemed to be offside. There is the flag. Spotted right away by the center referee. Did not even hesitate. Fans only now realizing they actually hit the goal buzzer too. You hear the remnants of it there. The goal still flashing on the ad boards. Fooled everybody but the Detroit City and Rhode Island players. Both sets seem to know instantaneously. And that'll help them take some more time off the clock here. The yellow for Sheldon.
That's exactly what it does. Slow the game down. Unnecessary free kick to give away. I know you're trying to win the ball back, but the yellow card's not really that important. What is important is being able to slow the game down, take your time, push all the bodies up, and loses momentum for Detroit City.
7 minutes come and gone. The game's so vitally important to both of these teams for playoff positioning. So one last chance in this for Detroit City. Toward the end line, no white jersey there. Final whistle goes for Rhode Island. It is their first regular season win since all the way back on June 14th, and it puts them for the time being in a playoff position in the Eastern Conference.
And that's all that's important as Maxi Rodriguez hugs some of his, well, former players, maybe not that one there because he's new to the team, but Kobe Hernandez Foster, but some of the others here. Sorry guys that I had to score the penalty against you, but we need the 3 points more than you do. We'll take it, and we're going to try and make this home ground a fortress for us. Maxi Rodriguez is a star player, comes on and scores with his first touch. Not many players do that.
Similar to how Rhode Island FC kept a clean sheet tonight, Scandinavian Building Services keeps RIFC's home, Centerville Bank Stadium, clean. Okay, Vegas did his job in this one. Couple of massive saves to keep that clean sheet for Rhode Island as it finishes 1-0 to the home side. Final score brought to you by Highbar Physical Therapy. Rhode Island 1, Detroit City 0. We're back in a moment to wrap things up from Centerville Bank Stadium.
We think the nicest moments happen once you've arrived at your destination. At Breeze, we think they happen all along the way.
Yeah, let me grab that for you.
That was so nice.
Whether you're kicking back in Breeze Ascent or just enjoying time together in family seating, we take creating nice moments seriously, so you're ready for the rest of the journey ahead. When it's all over, the nicest moment might just be planning your next trip. Breeze. Seriously nice.
Progress. It's what we strive for, what we sacrifice for. It's about putting in the work. Early mornings, late nights, all in the pursuit of something greater. It's what moves us forward, what unites us. Because progress is more than a goal. It's the journey, the people who stand beside us, and the right partner. Centerville Bank, the official bank of Rhode Island FC. Progress on purpose.
At Ortho Rhode Island, we've built the future of orthopedic care around an important foundation, you. Our experienced surgeons and specialists offer the full spectrum of orthopedic care with leading-edge treatments and technology and a one-of-a-kind patient experience. From diagnosis to outpatient surgery, physical and occupational therapy, acute injury care, and advanced imaging, we make you the cornerstone of innovative care. To learn more or schedule an appointment, visit orthopedicsri.com.
Celebrations continuing here in Pawtucket. The man of the hour against his former team, Maxi Rodriguez, scoring the penalty at the hour mark. That was the difference. Final score brought to you by Highbar Physical Therapy. Rhode Island 1, Detroit City 0. A look back at the highlights from this one. In the first half, and maybe throughout most of the evening, Gary, it actually felt like Detroit City were the better of the sides with the better of the chances, including this one here for Frates Diouf on the free kick.
That wasn't far away from Diouf. He's hit this beautifully. Coco Vegas probably covering that top corner, but what a strike it was, and they still look sharp. Kobe Hernandez Foster on debut. Lovely ball through here to Darren Smith. Turns and puts it in the corner. Koke Vegas comes up with, for me, the save of the match, possibly the moment of the match to keep that clean sheet.
It was the save of the match. You make progress towards your goals with Centerville Bank, official bank partner of Rhode Island FC. And at the other end, a big save for Carlos Saldana as well in that first half.
Just tips this one over from Quizera. It's a beautiful strike, and it might just have dropped in. And the goalkeeper says, no way, I'll tip that one out for a set-piece corner.
And this is where everything changed. That little chicken wing out with the left arm from Maurice Williams, spotted by the assistant referee, brings us to the Rhode Island Energy play of the game. It's the converted penalty by Maxi Rodriguez.
Comes straight on. He's subbed in at that moment. Takes that against his former club, hence the lack of celebration. And yeah, a little bit fortunate because the best chances certainly went to the way of Detroit City. They fought hard there for this deal and just knocks this one into the corner. Who pops up again? Koke Vegas.
And we show you one last time the standings here live because it's significant. Rhode Island, for the first time in quite some time, poked their noses above into a playoff spot.
And Hartford Athletic are leading at the moment, so they have jumped up to 9th in the live table. Birmingham dropped to 10. Miami and Tampa Bay, two very good sides sitting at the bottom. This could all change over the next few weeks. This is an incredible Eastern Conference. It is extremely tight from Loudon all the way down to Tampa Bay Rowdies.
And once again, your final score brought to you by High Bar Physical Therapy, the official physical therapy partner of Rhode Island FC. You can visit highbarhealth.com today to begin your journey to feeling better, moving freely, and living fully. It's a big win at home for a team that desperately needed it. Rhode Island takes it 1-0 over Detroit City FC. The crew that makes this possible, broadcast partner Gary Bailey, I'm Joe Malva saying so long for now. Stay tuned, plenty more action to come the rest of this week in the USL Championship with the playoff races heating up. Good night, everybody.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.